it's me, Renee. I'm back. Another Monday, another video about 2021. This being the last Monday of this, well, let's say last Monday. There's actually 2 more Mondays of, let's say February, of January, but this is the next last. And yeah, anyway, I decided, as you can see in the title, this is our most impactful reads of last year. Now you might think, well, impactful, isn't that just the same as best? Well, yes and no. I would say, yeah, a book that is best is also impactful because, I mean, if it's a book that you love, that you read that year, it's the best, but it's also, I mean, books you love are also impactful. Though, in my mind at least, impactful can also mean a book that's just kind of stuck with you, but isn't necessarily a 5-star book. And so yeah, this list though it will include some 5-star books and some amazing books. So yeah, it's kind of basically a mix of best books in the way that like the books that I read last year that made me an impact, that like impact in a positive way. Was yeah, all of the books I want to talk about are positive impact books, but okay, some are funny and some, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna get into them and I'll talk about each one of them and then you'll understand. So first we have Squirrel Girl. So actually, I'm actually can't think actually I've read this one, but yeah. Anyway, I started the Squirrel Girl series last year. I'm Nathaniel from Council of Geeks talks about this series, and I kind of I don't know really remember what made me pick it up. Yeah, I think actually I made it pick it up because I found 2 or 3 of them at a sale and thought, you know what, I kind of want to check that one out. And yeah, I very much enjoy them, and then I kind of just bought more. This is number 6. I've read the first 5 actually. Now, of course, not all of them are amazing because I don't really think there's one series that where all the books are amazing, comics or not. But like the whole series as a concept is just so cool. So the thing is, Squirrel Girl, she's a superhero, kind of. Since I mean, in the name Squirrel Girl, you won't really be called that if you're a cancer patient story. I suppose you could, but yeah. And yeah, and she defeats villains by talking to them instead of fighting them. Though sometimes she fights them. But yeah, her main thing is she's more diplomatic. She kind of tries to figure out why is this villain fighting me, and then she helps that villain by instead of fighting back, she kind of helps the person. Like she finds out, okay, you're fighting because you're angry. Okay, let's make you less angry by giving you flowers or what have you. And yeah, it's just whimsical and funny, and yeah, highly enjoyed as a whole. I actually have also, I'm pretty sure I actually also have the 6th volume. But yeah, so I have the first 6, and then the 10th volume because sales, I suppose. But yeah, check out Squirrel Girl if you're kind of in the mood for a comic book and a whimsical, fun one. And then we have When They Call You a Terrorist by Patrice Colors and Asa Bandela. So this one is a autobiography. Well, it is and it's not. Okay, so it's this biography of Patrice Colors, but and it's her story, but it's written by her. Well, the authors is her and Asha Bandela. I think Asha Bandela did like an interview with Patrice, and that's kind of how it became. So when someone's interviewing something, and with the character, the person that's it is about, also contributes, is that an autobiography or a biography? Because I've learned that autobiography is when you write about yourself. But when you talk to someone interviewing you, but you also accredited as an author. How is that defined? I don't know. Anyway, so this book is about Patrice. She's one of the persons who started the Black Lives Matter. No, she didn't start it. She started she started the organization. So in 2015, the organization kind of became a thing, even though Black Lives Matter has always been an issue, and there's always been protests around that. But yeah, these last close to 10 years, has kind of been much more focused on it, and it's just been much more radical. And yeah, but it's her story with a movement, but also her personal life. And yeah, it's a very good story. It's not big at all, but yeah. So if you want short but interesting and impactful read, I would say check out this one. And then we have Hangman's Holiday by Dorothy S. Sayers. So Dorothy L. Sayers. She's one of those queens of crime. What's the word again? She wrote in the same time as Agatha Christie, that being the 1920s. Though yeah, of those people that in that era, Agatha Christie is the most known author. But back in the day, there were other authors who had similar careers and similar paths, and some are still read. Though, yeah, here in Norway, Agatha Christie is the most famous one, and then you have Sherlock Holmes, and then the other ones aren't really talked about. But yeah, Dorothy L. Sayers writes about Lord Peter Wimsey, and yeah, so he's a lord. I suppose, in a way, he's kind of like Hercule Poirot in the way that he's a man and he solves crimes, but I would say Lord Peter Wimsey, he has a much more of a whimsical. He's much funnier as a person in a way, and yeah, he's a different character, obviously. But yeah, and yeah, so I read this one last year as well as another book by Dorothy L. Sayers in the same series. This one is 12 short stories, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed this one more than the book because the book wasn't that interesting. Well, these short stories, all of them were amazing, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna be reading more Lord of Peter Wimsey. I did notice that, and I can't pick this one up, kind of, I suppose, more or less because Amara from Books Like Woe, talked about how she wanted to do a Lord Peter Wimsey reread last year, and then at the end of last year she talked about how she didn't because she didn't enjoy them as much as she had read when she when she read them the first time. So I suppose they were different because I very much enjoyed this one. So yeah. Sorry. And then we have Rebel Rose by sorry, by the author is blah 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 blah. Who's the author behind this book? Emma Farrow. So it's the first in a series. It's a companion series, so it's series. And yeah, it's the series called The Queen's Council. It's published by Disney, the Disney company. They have books as well. But yeah, this series is all about the Disney princesses and kind of like an epilogue story of what happens to them after the movie stops, and it's kind of about their lives as queens because they all become queens. They are either princesses or they're married to princesses, and then of course eventually you become queen. And yeah, this one is, I suppose, as you can guess, about Beauty from Beauty and the Beast, and yeah, it's about Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and I enjoyed it very much. And yeah, I think I'm definitely going to pick up the rest of the series. This year, there's a book in the series coming out based around Jasmine, which, yeah, I gotta love that. And the second book that came out last year, this one came out 2019, and then last year, 2 years ago, pandemic rules, but 2 years ago, retelling a version with Mulan came out. So that's the two that are already out, Mulan and this one. And then a Jasmine one is coming up this year. And yeah, check it out. Then we have The Girls Have Been, not all the girls, The Girls Have Been by Tess Rapp. This is actually a debut book, if I'm not completely mistaken. I think so. Anyway, it's a standalone. It's a YA thriller, which usually I'm not really for thrillers at all. I'm not really that much into it, though. I thought I'd say this is my more mystery, no, but it's more of thriller. How would you define again, like the difference between thriller and mystery. Well, it's not okay. Okay, so the thing is, it takes place more or less during one day where this girl Nora, she's at the bank, and the bank is being held up by robbers, and so she's kidnapped or held hostage with her ex and her current girlfriend. She's bi, so her ex is a boy and her current girlfriend is a girl. And yeah, so there's some, I suppose, a bit of a drama there. The main thing is that Nora, she's kind of been, she's been, she used to be a con girl. Her mom and her moved around a lot, and they became different people and conned people out of the money and stuff. So she's been a lot of different people. And one of her the next to last con that she was a part of was the stepdad that she had. He was a big criminal boss, and then there's some things around that. So yeah, I suppose it's not a mystery in the way. I mean, we kind of know pretty soon that something's going on and what's going on and what the deal is. And it's not a thriller in the way that, because thrillers also have like this sense of like you don't know what's happening. Well, here you do know what's happening. There's more suspense. Yeah, it's called suspense. Anyway, I very much enjoyed it, and of course, it's on this video in this video, and it's supposed to become a Netflix movie, which I love. That's going to be made with Millie Brown. Millie? Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is playing it, and we don't really know much more about it at the moment, but yeah. And then we have blah, 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 moment, Crazy Stupid Romance. So this is the second. It is in the Bromance Book Club series, which is a adult romance series where it's what's the main characters. It's not the main characters because it's told all of them from a dual point of views. So the thing is, so you follow this group of friends who are a group of male friends, and they kind of want to become better lovers, so they start to read romance books, and it's one book for each. Sorry, for each boyfriend, for each man, and this is one of them, and this is a friends to lovers story. And yeah, of course, you have different tropes and different books, and yeah. And I've enjoyed this one very much. I read the first. Well, I read two of them. I have three of them, and there is four books. If I'm not mistaken. 5 books, 4 books. I think there's 4 books. So I think there's like 6 or 7 in the group, in the friend group. So I'm not sure why there aren't more. Anyway, let's move on. Then we have The Future of Another Timeline by Annabelle Newitz. Sorry, Annalie Lewitz. So this is time travel story, which my catnip. So it's been on my radar for a few years, and then I saw it last year on what's the word again? Jess from Bow Ties and Books channel, and they talked about how this book is so amazing, so different, so just so underrated, because it was in one of their underrated videos that they talked about it. And me loving time travel books, I thought like, you know what? I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna buy it. So I bought it, I read it, and I enjoyed it so much. Though it is raw. There's like mentions of rape, though there's no graphic rape scenes, but there's mention of rape here and there, and it's not a book you should read if you're like in a very low mood. Like, it's a book you should read when you're in a normal mood, I would say, because it's not like that many butterflies and sunshines in here and rainbows. There's other stuff, though there are some smiles, and I would say definitely check it out. It's described as a feminist look at history, which is, I suppose, true. but it's not quite that. Well, it's that, but like that blow up made me think like, okay, it's very like, I don't know, it um made me think of all these feminist icons and stuff like that. And there's not that many feminist icons. Well, there's feminist people in it, but all the people in it are what's the word again? Invented. They don't really use real life people. But anyway, it's an amazing story. So check it out if you're in the mood of it, of course. Then we have Written in the Stars by Alexandria Belfer. This is lesbian. It's a female love story. Also, someone described it as a Pride and Prejudice retelling, which I suppose is kind of true, but not quite. I suppose it has elements like loose elements of that, but I would say it's not like strict that way really. But yeah, it's set in San Francisco, and there's a nice love story. It's told from two point of views, and it's just a lovely story, so charming and wonderful, and I love very much Ella Jones, one of the characters. She's into astrology, and she's just so happy-go-lucky and optimistic, and yeah, yeah. Check it out if you want to read more female love stories. Definitely a book to check out. And then we have one of the reasons this is called impactful and not the best, because this is not one of the best, even though it's not awful. It's not. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this books was this video. This book was also in my most disappointed videos books of last year. So I mean, this book is divisive in a way in my head. So like, it's not amazing, but it's not awful, and it's important. And which book do you think it is? If you guessed Crown Fury, guessed right. You guessed right. So yeah, it's impactful because solely because it has a protagonist that has NLD, which I have, and I haven't seen any other NLD books anywhere like with fiction in the world at all. You can do have like someone you make headcanon and do that, but there's no on page NLD representation anywhere else. So just the fact that it's the first one makes it so impactful, and also the fact that at the end there is these notes on LLD. So like if people read this book and don't really know what LLD is, they can look up the notes and check there and learn more. I suppose how many people read that notes in the back? Some people might. Well, it depends. But yeah, I love this book for that fact. Then again, it was disappointed because I was a bit disappointed by the main character, which kind of became too robotic and too weird now and then. But still, it was still an impactful read, and still a book I'm very much happy and grateful that exists. So yeah, very impactful read and book. So Prom Fury, that on the bar. Check it out if you want to read LD books, and I mean also like elements of it was just so spot on, so spot on. Well, others weren't, but some of it was so spot on. And then we have Margot Merch Takes It Down, which I read just at the end of December of last year. Well, I suppose end of December is also end of last year, so it works both ways. But yeah, it's been described as Veronica Mars plus Moxie, which I would say it's so correct. It gave me all the Veronica Mars feels. I love Veronica Mars. I had planned to do a rewatch, and I haven't done that. Anyway, I just love this story so much. In addition to being just like so girl power, girl empowerment story, it also like it's so funny. Like if you need a book that's also important but also so funny, check out this book. Look no further than this book. It's just amazing. And also supposedly there's going to be a second book coming up this year, which yay. So yeah, excited for that. And then we have, in the same vein, in the same idea, that this one is also a very funny book. Love is for Losers by Vibeke Buggeman. Other than this is very funny. Both these are very funny. Other than that, I suppose there's not that much similar, but that's kind of what I want to talk about them after each other because they're both so funny. This one made me laugh so much I lost my breath, which also that other one did. And yeah, this is just a very fun look at slice of life story at a girl's the year between she's 15 and 16, and her life she has to live with her godparents because her mom works for God works for Doctors Without Borders, so she goes away to Syria to help them, and then yeah, it's about Phoebe missing her mom and also living her life and finding love, but also mainly living her life. And yeah, it's just so relatable and very funny. And yeah, yep. Then we have A Hope Divided, which I'm pretty sure I read like last January or something, like early last year. But anyway, well, maybe I didn't read it early last year. I read it last year. Do you know I read it last year? It doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, it's the second one, and a novel of Civil War series by Alyssa Cole, which is her Civil War series, which is a spy series set in the Civil War, and it's based all around African Americans. Yeah, each one of the books has some kind of spy aspects to it, and this one takes place. Well, takes place. This one has has just actually also it has a character that kind of seems to be on spectrum, though it's not on paper, but it's my headcanon. And also, yeah, it's just I love these characters, and I love the first one as well. But yeah, didn't read the first one last year. But yeah, this book just amazing, very good, so quotable, and just amazing. And yeah, it's a great book if you want to read some historical fiction that's not centered on whiteness, but that's more centered on African Americans and their experience because they have existed always. Like before, this used to be like, well, before, like when Jackson has been around for like, but like often people ask you historical fiction, they all often say Second World War, and they say like people going to fight, and like it's all about, and they kind of think automatically about Europeans. This is African Americans, and they're also they experienced the war as well. I mean, and also Asian Americans experienced the war. All of them experienced the war. And it's just so weird how mainly when you think about historical fiction, you think white men or white romance. It's like everyone has had romance in the past. It's not just white people. And yeah. And then we have The Air Affair by Heather Cox and Jennifer Morgan. This is the second one in that series. Though I'm pretty sure also it's kind of the last one. It kind of seems very much like Final. I suppose the first one also seemed Final, and then we got the second one. Though, I don't know, if you're gonna write a third one, I don't really know how that would be. I suppose you could write a spin-off. You could do that. But anyway, yeah, I read this back in December, I think, maybe November, around there, and yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I spent was awake long into the morning, into the hours of night to finish this book because it was just amazing. I think I was like also up until like 4 in the morning reading this book, and also it's just like the end is like what, like uh, so many flabbergasting and unpredictable moments. Like what? I just floor you, and yeah, it's just both a romance, but also just a character study, and it's just yeah, it's amazing, amazing book and series. Check it out. And then we have The Duke Undone by Joanna Lovell. So this is well, I kind of have a bit of gripe with this one. Okay, so I read a few historical romances last year. I read a few more last few years. But yeah, this was one of those I read last year. And it's been described like it's a beautiful cover, and it's also been described as the back says Blah 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 blah. Mm. Yeah, here at the very end it says, an irresistible passion ignites between them, for the two lovers, the two love interests. But then danger strikes. Lucy and Anthony must risk everything for a love that might destroy them both. Yeah, this danger thing, like there's something from the very beginning that something says wrong, but for the most part, this is a book about two people and their lives and their love story with each other. And at the very end, there's some danger going on. Like the danger doesn't happen in the beginning; it's just at the very end. So this blurb might maybe like think, okay, this is supposed to be a mystery or something scary very soon, or something scary is gonna happen. Now you what next page, next page, next page. It didn't happen before like the very like maybe fourth or fifth to last chapter. It's like publishers, really. If you make a blurb where something is mentioned, but it doesn't happen before the very end, that's just wrong marketing. That's false marketing. I mean, this was a good book, yeah, but I kind of went into it thinking it was going to be more mystery aspects to it, which it didn't have that many of it. And yeah, I mean, that kind of colored my reading of it in a way. So yeah, publishers, stop being idiots. Moment. So then we just actually have two more books. Yeah, two more books. Then up next we have These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. So I'm a quirky one. Quirky. I'm weird, I suppose, in a way, because I love fantasy, but kind of this last few 10, 8 years, a lot of the books that have been published in the YA section, there was an adult section, but yeah, mostly in the YA section, which I mostly still stick to, have been high fantasy, and personally I prefer urban fantasy or historical fantasy. So when I heard about this series, though it came out a few years ago, but I read it last year, so I'm counting it. So this series is a duology. It's urban fantasy with witches set in LA, and I'm like, yes, I love witches. I love urban fantasy, so I had to buy it, of course. And it's also sapphic. And yeah, read it last year. Enjoyed it so much. It's quite scary at sometimes, which yikes. But yeah, it's an amazing book, and yeah, definitely recommend it. I haven't read the second book yet, but I plan to. Though I think that's kind of a spin-off. I think it might not necessarily be like a direct sequel. I don't. Well, it's a sequel in a way that it takes place after this book, but I don't really think it's one of those books where you have to read them both. I think you can read one and not read the rest. But I love this so much that I'm definitely gonna read the second one. So yeah, and then we have The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, or in Norwegian Mannen som døde to ganger. Yeah, so this is Norwegian arc, because I work in a bookstore, I get arcs. And yeah, this is the second book in a Richard Osman mystery series. And some people said that they thought the first one was much better than the second one. Honestly, I love the second one just as much, maybe more, as the first one. I read them both last year, but this one came out last year, and I actually don't own the first one, but I suppose, yeah, also imagine the first one is here, because they're both amazing books. They're so original, so funny. I have lost my breath so many times reading this book, and it's just, yeah, so original, so great characters, and yeah. It's also actually been adapted to a movie by Steven Spielberg, which is quite exciting. And yeah, so that was my little list video of books that impacted me last year. And yeah, if I'm gonna do another video like this next week, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another one like solely that's just funny books. I suppose I could do like romantic books I loved last year. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. But anyway, this is this week's video, Monday video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you agree on some of these books, or maybe you want to talk about some books that you read last year that impacted you, please do. And bye!